So good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us this session in the evening. I hope you have your cups of tea ready with you, to have all the energy. And we won't give you a second to think on some other lines because today we are going to talk about a very, very burning topic, for which everybody has a lot of questions, queries. They have concerns that what this liberal arts is all about. So today's topic of discussion is generalist versus specialist, and what is the scope of liberal arts. So first, I will introduce myself. I'm Meenu Arora. I'm a counseling psychologist. And before I introduce my panelist, and I will wait for Anju also to join, I will just give you my background and I will form a context that why we have chosen this topic. As I said, I'm a counseling psychologist. I started my journey in 1996 as an employee, as a psychologist. And when I finished my schooling, people used to say that okay, the person who does an honors course is a very intelligent person, and that was the time when all the honors courses were so much in demand, and I decided to do psychology honors, back in 1990. And that was considered as a very good course because BA pass was considered as a not so good course. And if you're not good with studies, then you take a BA pass course where you study 5 to 6 subjects. So I was very happy that I have taken an honors course. And trust me, for those 5 years, 3 years of graduation and 2 years of undergrad, and 1 year, in fact, of counseling, all those years before I started working, I never picked up any other book other than psychology. And when I started working in my first job, 1996, I just learned how to switch on and switch off the computer and on my first job. And my boss tells me after a week, Meenu, develop a career counseling software. I said, but I'm a psychologist and I'm not a software or a coding person. I can't do that. And psychologists, don't need to have computer science and knowledge and all that. But she insisted. And I said, Meenu, you're going to lose this job because that was my first job. I was a young girl. So I thought and I rushed to the IT department. I told them that, this is the thing. You are IT professionals. You should be doing this. Why am I supposed to do it? Young people, how do we behave? And they said, ma'am, let's do one thing because they said, we are not career counselors, so how can we do it? So we decided to work together. So I sat in front of the desktop because there was no laptop, and I started behaving like a student, a parent, and a counselor. And I kept saying that if I was a student, parent, or a counselor, I would like to see this on the screen. And they were taking their notes, which I could not understand. But after 15 days, the career counseling software was on my table in 1996. And, I was I had such a sense of achievement that, oh, see, I helped you. And they were like, oh, we helped you. That was my first lesson of life. Oh, so what did I do in those 6 years? I thought that I will not be needing computers. Now what do I do? So then also I did not learn my lesson in a good way. And, then many things happened and I felt that, oh, I need to know certain other things also, which we are going to explore in this particular session. So this is what we are going to discuss, that from that era when we used to feel that you should be super specialized people, to this age when we are saying that you should have knowledge of a few subjects. So that as a student, as an individual, I get confused, parents get confused that what is this difference. So to discuss that and what is the benefit of this, we have invited two universities here, Flame and Ashoka. We have Vrinda Tandon, who is a regional manager of outreach from Ashoka University, and we have Anju Deoskar, who is the Director of Admission Outreach at Flame University. So, welcome both of you, and thank you so much for taking out time to clarify all these concepts related to generalists versus specialists. So, this was my understanding, Vrinda and Anju, and I would like to know from you before we jump on to the concept of liberal arts to understand liberal arts. I would like to understand from you that how was your journey? This was my journey. How was your journey? How do you think that what is this generalist versus specialist concept? And then we will move on to the technical questions of the concept. So Vrinda, we can start with you.
I think we should start with Anju ma'am because my experience is not even half of what she has. So,
Okay.
please, let's begin with
She's
her
just
because we
saying
have
that
got
I'm
shorter
really
options.
old.
No,
She's
no, I'm
telling
saying
me
that you're
I'm,
very experienced. I'm not going to do anything that is going to get me in trouble. Okay.
yeah.
So yes, Anju, let's begin with
So,
you.
absolutely. So, the thing is that, when we're talking about specialist, generalist versus specialist, and I love this book, by David Epstein's called Range.
Hmm.
And so, when I read that book for the first time, it just felt that, I'm looking at some chapters of my own life. So, born and brought up in an armed forces background, we didn't stay in one place for more than 2 years. So, by lifestyle choice that we were living, it forced me to try multiple things right from a very young age. Uh, changing the background to what your life was, whether it was socio-economic background of people you met or culturally very diverse communities. If you got a good school, that was a big thing. All right. I mean, you didn't have a choice whether you want to do a X curriculum or a Y curriculum. The thing was, did you get a good school and does it have a good teacher? That's about it, right? So that was the initial journey. But more and more as I kept getting my experience into higher education space, it just uh, made me question when I would just speak about a particular program, and then I would just question myself whether is it really that much what is required to become a particular uh, you know uh, specialist. Like you gave an example of a psychology. I mean, you had to study psychology to be in a field of psychology, whether it was clinical psychology or whether you using psychology to apply in a certain field which you were in, maybe counseling, right? This actually applies to actually every single job you do. And I speak very clearly to my students here that you have to look at job and a career as two different things. Jobs different, careers different, and your career trajectory is different. You have to become an engineer, you have to study your sciences, but is it stopping you from studying anything else? And do you think if you become an engineer, your major life decisions you make will be only related to engineering? It doesn't happen so. In my job, uh, I have not studied marketing at all, mean zero. I don't know marketing, and I'm just sitting at a position of a very esteemed university and running that show, right? And doing a decent job. But again, what brings me back is the skills are available. Like you gave away that you were part of a very important resource in building that app to help career counseling, not knowingly. You didn't know what was going to be the outcome. For me, it was like, okay, fine, my job is to make sure people are aware about my university, which is marketing, outreach. Do I have experience? Zero. Do I have education? No. But I had something. I spent 15 years in school. All right. And that was, I was able to bring back those experience and be a little more sensitive towards how I approach the school, how I talk to the parents, how you talk to the students. Because we sometimes unknowingly throw away a lot of pressure, and all of that was being appreciated in some way, and even I didn't know about it, by the way. So it's just that, once you start working, you just kept on gathering. Yeah, so I took expert in marketing, absolute fluke. That's how I came
Interesting.
in here,
That's
And you want to know
interesting to
what
know.
my professional, even in education, I was a kindergarten teacher. I love EYP. Today, if somebody was to give me a chance, go back to early years, I would jump and go there right away.
I think that's
Yeah.
so beautiful, to learn about this particular concept from the stories which you have. And Vrinda, if I ask you, would you like to share something about you?
I feel like a filler in the middle of the two of you, seriously. Okay, so my journey is not very long, actually, honestly speaking. This is the first time I'm doing career counseling, but I've been in the system for 5 years, so I think we're okay. So honestly speaking, my education is diverse in itself. Like we're talking about liberal education today. I graduated in 2010. I'm very young, sorry, but I graduated in 2010, guys. Um, College happened because my mother's a school principal now, but she was a teacher back then. So one of her students did Italian honors. So she said, my daughter is going to do something different. And I was like, okay, fine. I don't want to do English honors. Let's do Italian honors. And I come from commerce without maths ka background, by the way. Commerce without maths and eco, because I used to hate mathematics. So nothing to do with commerce. Did not get into BCom or BBA. Went in for French honors. So that's my undergrad, by the way, from Delhi University. It was a 3-year course. Enjoyed myself way too much. Did graduate with a good score, so that's not a problem. After that, I started working in the family business. My dad owned a marketing company, and he said, "You know what? I didn't have any experience of marketing." He said, "Just work. I need a francophone person, so speak to my French clients." I was like, "Okay, cool. I can do that." 1 year, 2 months into the system, and my father basically chucks me out. He says, "Now go earn for yourself." Like, wow, this is so cool, guys. I'm a signing authority in that company, and I was chucked out. Just FYI. Okay. And after that, I took some time. I said, let's just figure things out and understand what's happening around me. Did a few odd jobs, did something in event management, so on and so forth. Then I said, no, education abhi thodi kam hai. It's just the language at the moment. So then I started applying for different courses. I swear to God, I have applied for everything in that year. जो मुझे समझ में आया हिस्ट्री ऑनर्स भी डाल दिया फ्रेंच के लिए मास्टर्स भी डाल दिया पॉलिटिकल साइंस भी कर दिया बिकॉज we did not have career counseling or guidance back then, right? And post French, nobody knew what to do. But मैंने MBA के लिए भी I started applying for MBA as well. So I don't come from very great universities. I've come from Delhi University, which is a good university right now. And I've come from Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, where I did my MBA from in international business. मैंने खुद तो बनाया नहीं था, the trajectory just kept on going on itself, right? Then after that, I got into a company which did animated videos, and I was a project manager there. I was working with both foreign and Indian clients, and I was in marketing and sales and everything. But I was mostly a project manager. I used to work with a team of about 50 people, and I was heading that team. So, spent a year there. Then an opportunity came. So, I'm an Anant fellow. So, Anant National University in Ahmedabad had recently started its fellowship program. And 2018 is when I got into that program. 18 to 19, I was there, right? And after that, when I came back, I just took some time to myself, and organically, Ashoka happened. They had an opening, I applied, and I got in. And that time, Ashoka was supposed to be a filler. Ashoka was supposed to be the space where I'd be there, be here for like 2 years, and then I move on. But when I started working at Ashoka, that was the time I realized that I was actually a liberal education advocate. Because as a Nant fellow, I had studied in the liberal education system for a year. So if we actually look at it from a perspective, I come from a commerce without maths background. Then I went into languages, which gave me communication. Worked, have an experience also, had a leadership experience, went into management. Management में niche समझ नहीं आया. And then I started with the fellowship where I understood that education management is what I want to get into, right? It was more focused. So it took me approximately 10 years to land in a space where I was good and where I actually fit in and which I love, which I'm very passionate about. And right now, the students are so fortunate that they can do it in just 4 years. They can actually remove those extra 6 years and use them more productively because I was like a lost child. And although my mother was in the education sector, my father himself was working, and I come from a background of very, very educated people, but it was still that pigeonhole view where people just said, okay, commerce के बाद क्या ही करेगा बच्चा, BBA कर लेगा क्योंकि maths तो है नहीं इसके पास. And that's what I started off with. I was like, I don't want to do what people are doing. It's as simple as that. That was, I think, the rebel in me that started. But it worked. So I think that is why I love the space that I'm in today. I actually love talking to students and telling them, you know what? Apply for JEs and AIEEEs. Please karo. Apply for your needs. But keep us as a backup. Because trust me, you will
Yeah.
not regret it.
That is so true. And if I look at all the three journeys which we have, just shared, whether it's my journey of 30 years or Anju journey of whatever, I think almost 20, 15, 20 years, and your journey of 10 years, one thing is very clear that the relationship between course and the career is not a straight line.
Yeah.
There's
You
no
have to
line
figure
actually.
out.
There's
There
no
There
is
is no
no
line.
line.
line. So
There is no line.
you have to shape up, carve your own
Yeah.
journey. You have to find
Yeah.
your own pathway. And as I can see that, all three of us who have shared, and I have also worked in a liberal art university, and what I'm seeing that, we have done different things, but at the same time we kept applying certain skills, I can say. So, Anju, let me start with you now, having this background that this is actually what happens in life. And, as counselors, as students, as parents, we need to really understand that careers is a process. It is not an overnight decision. It's not that today you are attending this session and by, tonight, 12 o'clock, you will be able to take a decision. It's a process. So, Anju, if I say that when we are talking about generalist versus specialist, and if I look at today's world, what do you recommend? Keeping future in mind, what do you recommend a student should do? They should specialize in one particular subject, so that they are very niche in that particular area, or they should be generalist. What should be there in your opinion?
Actually, we have to understand the generalist correctly. Generalist doesn't mean that you're not going to be a specialist. All right. Generalist to me is that do not focus in only that area. All right. Generalist, I would say, like, a T shaped learning concept that we talked, like, your lateral and horizontal, both views have to be there. So while a lot of, generalist views are, lateral thinkers are important, lateral thinking must be developed before you dive in deeper into a subject. Because if today let me just connect, data science and psychology. All of this, that is the most demanding career, probably, where with all of this advent of, artificial intelligence and all that stuff. So, people want to understand how you are, how you're more aware about everything, and yet you find your specialization. So, uh, clearly, I mean, David Ibsen says that the generalist will triumph over the specialist. So now he's just saying basically that you need to know about the society before you dive deeper, rather than just looking at one area of knowledge. And I'll give you very interesting. So when we talk about future, what is the first word that and people can type in when I say future careers? What's the first word that comes into your head? Please, I mean, anybody here.
Yes,
You
yes,
know, the
participants.
most, yeah, I mean, what are your career futures, or what can you advise? I mean, what is future? It's very unpredictable, right? That's the most common word. If you just have a general view and conversation, yeah, it's unpredictable. So why not prepare for anything? And now I'm not saying anything in a negative way. If the future is unpredictable, so let's prepare for anything. And now here it doesn't mean that it's like a random interested student. Here we are saying that, hey, let's take it easy. I like math, I like XYZ, let me study that. Don't connect your 11th, 12th and your graduation to your career, please. Learn for the sake of learning. Let's take Vrinda's example, she did so because of great communication skills and the cultural studies at it. She's probably the best marketer. You getting my point? So you have to probably understand that you have to learn for the sake of learnings. You have to you know, take a step at a time. And it's when I'm saying prepare for anything, it is not studying your core subjects. You have to have a core subject for, for the sake of learning. Do not connect it with the career. You don't know what's going to happen, because guess what, future is unpredictable. We just said that, right? But it doesn't mean you're not developing skills. It doesn't mean you're not getting a degree. It doesn't mean you're getting smarter by your in your knowledge. You are getting that, unless of course you were 3 years old and you've been saying कि mama मुझे doctor बनना है, then of course please, like you know, then you know what the path is. After eighth, everybody is getting into the main this thing, which is also, I mean, we've seen it's, I mean, it works for some and it's so terrible for others. There's no guarantee yet. And with that, I always say, like, even a couple of years ago, I think this NET test, I think they had more than I think 150 people who scored 100 on 100, or I don't know, some number I'm forgetting. It was more than the number of seats. So there were still some hundreds on 100 who did not get into AIMS.
Mhm.
How do you say, you know? So
That's
it's not a straight answer. It's never a straight answer. I think as adults here, because I see only the adults here in this room, I think it's really important for us to know the child, know who are you advising to. As parents, I have failed to understand my kids, and I really repent. I would have done certain things so differently with my daughter. I would have done so many things differently with my son. We all were in process of learning, and again we get very heavily influenced by, you know, after school they have to do this, after this they have to do this. Gone are those days. If you're going to be the brave one to just tell your child that you study what you want to study. And there's a meme going on. This kid, he says, dad, I love dancing, and then the slap comes across, that's pronounced at engineer. It's a meme. I mean, this is talking about the generations, how we are connected. I mean, the kid saying, I want to be the dancer, and the dad slaps and says, that's pronounced as engineer. So, parents will have to, you know, ease off. You know, they don't have to throw away their aspiration, their dreams onto the student. And sometimes you don't even do that, but you're unaware. So please go out, talk to people like us who are easily available. There are so much of you know, content available to understand really how to uh, you know, handhold your child. You have to be patient, because this generation is not earning for roti kapda makan, AC, gaadi and wi-fi. That's for sure. They have it all.
yes, yes. So,
Now, what can you inspire me to work for? Big question.
so Vrinda, after hearing what Anju has said, and Anju talked about a T-shaped, concept. I've come to you that on the basis of whatever we have discussed so far, how would you introduce liberal arts? How can we use these concepts to understand what liberal arts is all about?
Okay, so I'll give you the theory first, and then we'll sort of break it down a bit. Okay. Number one, you study whatever you'd like to study and not what you have to study. So let's break this down first. 80% of India is CBSE, 80 to 85%, right? Approximately 5% is in IB and Cambridge. Then and then we have state boards and we have other boards. So how do we bifurcate that? Approximately 35 years ago, these boxes did not exist. I don't know if you guys have studied in those or not, of arts, commerce, and sciences, but they did not exist because they never needed it, right? Today, these people are divided into boxes: arts, commerce, and sciences. Even in IB and Cambridge, there are still some limitations where students can and cannot study what they want to study, right? There has to be a sciences in your course in IB as well. There has to be one course which is either mathematics or some sort of mathematics in that. Similarly, in arts, commerce, and sciences, even if they're giving you that interdisciplinarity, even after NEP being there, they're still holding back on a few things because the schools are not completely prepared for it, right? And it's a fact, they're not. So, how do we deal with that? In an actual liberal education setup, and please note, like ma'am is referring it to, referring it to as liberal arts, and I'm calling it liberal education because that's the term that we've come up with, because liberal arts is sort of limiting itself. So, liberal education, it tells you to break that box. It tells you that a student of commerce can still get into the sciences. A student coming from humanities who was told to leave sciences because physics and chemistry nahi ho raha hai, but bio was love. So you were told कि छोड़ दो, नहीं हो रहा है कोई बात नहीं, humanities में आ जाओ, theory based subjects है वो कर लेंगे, कोई problem नहीं है. But they can still go back to the sciences. A student who's coming from sciences and still says that, okay, I want to merge my sciences with a little bit of humanities. That's just one theory. Now, coming back to the second one, it is beyond just arts, right? At Ashoka, we call it liberal arts and sciences. There are other universities that call it just liberal education. There are universities that will call it liberal studies, right? It's something, it's somewhere in the middle, because it's basically the study of social sciences, humanities, and natural sciences all together, right? And the third one is interdisciplinarity. Like I said, you can break your box, right? But how do you actually do that? When I say a science student can also take humanities with it, history and biology can go hand in hand. In my head, I'm a CBSE student, did not strike for the first time. But if I actually put it into actual examples, archaeology will always need carbon dating. It'll come from history. It'll come from biology. So history and bio work together. A lot of times, students don't really understand this, that subjects like political science and maths are completely connected. There is voting and exit polls in political science. It'll come from mathematics because probability se nikalte hain exit polls, right? So there's a lot of interdisciplinarity, right? Every discipline that you see out there is going to speak to another one. Sometimes people just generally come up to me and they're like, legal studies and physics will not work together. Trust me, it will. Because if you've never heard of it, let me just tell you something about intellectual property rights. A physicist will always need need law to protect its own thinking, the ideas that they've come up with. So physics and legal studies will also work together. So things like these people don't generally talk about because they're just there. They're oblivious about it. वो बस हैं. लेकिन जब आप कभी बोलते हो in an actual setting that you know what, these disciplines also work together, suddenly there are tube lights going on in an audience, and that actually is one of the greatest things that you'll ever see. So,
Vrinda, I'll just add one amazing example here, please.
Anju,
So, even the combination of bio and art.
yes,
All right, now there's a whole bio and art where they're using living materials like cells and organisms to create art challenges, to create
yeah,
art, and it's basically now challenging the boundaries of life sciences and artistic expression.
yeah.
Who knew about that?
In fact,
Just
ma'am,
imagine, it'll be such a niche. I mean, just imagine what you create, and you're happy doing that.
exactly. I mean, a subject like biology, if you mix it with computer science, so in my everybody, the first thing that will come to your mind is biotechnology. Because biotechnology
Yeah.
is actually not one of the products of computer science and biology. It's a different subject altogether. But there is a product out there that you won't even imagine is there. It's called a smartwatch. What is a smartwatch made of? Right? Somebody came up with that combination. Somebody said that this will work. A student just told me a few days ago that it is also called computational biology. I was like, okay, cool, thank you for letting me know. I had no idea it worked like that. So,
Quantum computing now. I mean,
है ना?
yeah.
Imagine.
So,
So, three basic concepts.
hmm, hmm,
Your boxes don't exist. You can
hmm.
study whatever you'd like to study. It is beyond arts. And third, interdisciplinarity. So that is how I would define liberal education to you, or liberal arts.
Thank you so much, Vrinda and Anju. And Anju, would you like to add something?
Yeah, and then you'll have to let me go, okay? So I'll just tell you about what Vrinda has just mentioned, which is so amazing, and that's exactly what liberal education or liberal arts and sciences or liberal studies, whatever you call, that's basic the foundation.
And
But do you know what it does to a child? I think we teach students on big one only one question: why does it matter? This is constantly daunting in their head. They're studying psychology, they're studying history, they're studying. Why does it matter? And this question, which is constantly getting into their heads while they're studying, because the way it's delivered, the pedagogy is such, that often takes them, and let me tell you this, 90% of the students actually fall into this. What is the big picture? They connect it to the big picture. Do you know, just imagine, I have goosebumps when I talk to my students and when they talk about things and how they're connected. And I was like, wow, like, we did not do like anything like how these kids are really thinking. And then, because wars are real, political crises are real, climate change is real, and I don't know what else is coming through. Digital scams, everything is real today. Now, who is going to teach students? I mean, you become an economic man. Is any education consciously drilling them into moral man? Is there a way? And do you think a moral man cannot be an economic man? You can be both. And that's where liberal education comes in. I think it is really important. I think students learn whatever they do. The third thing what I said was, the first question that comes to their mind is, why does it matter? What is the big picture? And the last one, how do we fix it in a way that it helps everyone? And I think that, and you can still make a lot of money, that isn't going anywhere. And I think if we're talking about this, we're making very good human beings in the society. I think liberal education must be talked, this must be talked about it. They're very, very conscious people when they study. They're very empathetic, they care about the society. Because here the computer science and data science major also has taken classes in philosophy and sociology and stuff like that. They understand the society. Vis-a-vis somebody who's into humanities has taken up courses in maybe some science courses. So you and that's how you develop perspective. You cannot do why does it matter and the big picture and can I fix it for everyone unless you have empathy and perspective. And these two things cannot be taught in a course of empathy and perspective. This has to happen every single day. So whatever Vrinda was talking about, out of the box interdisciplinarity, all of this, that's the formula to get this. And
So
this is something.
that makes me think and conclude that it's very liberal arts is one approach which moves from what to think to how to think. How to
Absolutely.
apply the knowledge. What to learn to how to learn. So
Absolutely.
I think liberal arts gives you that kind of space, to apply the knowledge. So, and in fact, that makes me think that, when we talk about, when both of you were talking about interdisciplinary approaches, and if you look at the Indian system also, the ancient Indian system. So I think then liberal arts was already there in India, when we go back to the Vedic period and the ancient India, in earlier there were Gurukul systems and kings used to go to, these ashrams and they used to learn everything. वॉर की स्किल्स से लेकर हाउ टू कुक योर फूड हाउ टू हैव द
Yeah, yeah.
क्राइसिस
So
मैनेजमेंट ड्यूरिंग
even there, the guru taught the shishya. Guru did not teach archery. Guru taught the learned archery. Guru taught the shishya. He knew how to the Ayurveda. Guru taught this.
या
So basically, you have to like in this, even in this book, Prophet. The author talks about you have to teach the child, not the subject. That we were
यस
doing. That's what you're mentioning just now. We were already doing this.
it was already there, and if you look at Nalanda, Takshashila, it was already there. If I go back, in Krishna terminology also, we used to say Sola Kala Sampoon. So that was always there, and I think because of the British system, we started focusing only on one particular subject, specializing in one particular subject because we wanted people to get into the administration jobs. But now I can see that there is a need, to have that interdisciplinary approach and which can be taught. It's just a perspective. It is an approach to learning which can be inculcated on day-to-day basis. Now, having said that, my next question to both of you is, how will you differentiate any liberal art college? First of all, of course, when both of you are here, so that means we do have liberal arts in India. It is not a concept which we have taken from the US. So, how any liberal art college is different from a very conventional college?
Uh, so, when you go to a conventional college, you pick up a course and you pick up your subjects and you say, before even you give your application and pay the fee, you've decided that, boss, I'm coming here to do my BBA and finances and la la la, I'm going to study. This is all the convention years. You got to decide. And then you study only that throughout the year, throughout your course. Now with NEP, some of them are doing it just to fill in the checkbox. Some people are actually doing it well also. When you come to the I'll talk about Flame and Vrinda can add about Ashoka. So when you apply to Flame, you just simply apply for an undergraduate degree. We don't know whether it's going to become a BA, BB or a BSc. We don't know. The first year, student will explore all of these, the T-shaped learning that we do. So we take them across, whether you're a science student, we don't care, you have to study humanities. You are a humanities student, we don't care, you have to pick up courses in science. You have to do all of that. Apart from that, you also have to, because this is such a amazing curriculum, how do I justify as a university that I'm delivering in a way that I'm resonating and connecting with a student who's come from a small village in Ranchi, sorry, from Chhattisgarh somewhere, or someone who's coming from an Oberoi or a Pathways of the world, right? Both of them did well. Both of them did well in our selection, and we selected both of them. Do you think their backgrounds are similar? Their starting points are so different. So, what do you do? And that is the differentiator in the university, that in the first year, you learn academic writing courses, you do critical thinking courses, you do digital literacy courses, you take courses in mental modeling, you take courses in ethics, you take courses in religion, you just study the whole thing, which are basically developing your skills. And all of these skills can be transferred to your discipline, whatever you choose to study later. I've done courses in critical reasoning. I'm going to apply it in my finance or public policy or XYZ. I've done I've done ethics. I'm going to apply that ethics everywhere. So the first year, we are ruffling, shaking, pushing, and, you know, putting these kids in spots where they don't want to be. If I had given them a choice, they'll say, I'm a humanities student, I'm going to do humanities, so I'm going to do this. We say, hey, you know what, I don't want to know what you want to do. But you're going to do all of this because you have to graduate from being a student to being a scholar. And the basic difference here, and what I'm trying to say is, you don't come to the campus at Flame probably just to acquire knowledge. We definitely expect you to build on the existing knowledge, and that only scholar. You have to change your mindset of, you know, an approach, and that's where the magic starts. And
So, Vrinda,
students,
yeah, that's
yeah.
that's really good that in the first year that they are learning so many different kinds of subjects. And Vrinda, you can also tell us, how Ashoka is, doing this liberal arts in the first year. Do you also have a similar thing? And plus, I would like to know from you mainly that how this kind of courses, the foundation year, like Anju was explaining, how is it preparing students for the future world of work? What is the benefit of studying liberal arts in such a way?
Sure. Can I give an example of
Yeah,
myself as
sure.
well
Sure.
as to why, what is the difference
Vrinda,
between
just
this?
1 second.
I think you
To
need to
do my
leave.
security check, can I just leave, please? I'm so sorry. My cab got late
Okay.
in Bangalore. I'm just sitting really at the entry gate. I need to rush, and Bangalore airport is huge. So
No,
I'm
no,
just going
please,
to
please,
take your
please
leave,
carry
please.
on.
And I'm sure Vrinda is going to add all
Any
the.
any any
No
last
pressure, guys.
any last sentence, something which if you would like to
I
address the
think
audience.
we should. That was also one of my first. Please encourage students when they pick up courses. They should learn for the sake of learning. I'm not kidding. If you learn well, everything falls. And this big question of people, oh, if you go to liberal education university, what are the jobs? They're galore. Please come and look
Yeah.
at us. Speak to our students where they're going. Do not worry about that. But if you come to Flame and say that, you know what, I want to have. What's your placement? We'll show you the, probably will not entertain you for that, because that's, it's not matching our uh, you know. And do you think our students are not getting jobs? Please come and check us out. They're definitely getting, but that's a wrong question. So I feel that you must approach that part well. It's not easy because everybody's, you know, make marketing about their placements, that all comes in. But I think the most important part is, if you're going for higher education, please go to a place where you at least firstly can find yourself. And if that is done, I promise you half your work is done. So
So,
that's
Anju,
my closing note.
okay, thank you so much. And I just want to remind you that next Saturday we are going to meet again, same time,
Yes,
4 o'clock next Saturday,
yes,
and we are going
yes.
to talk about the admission process and scholarships for flame and flow.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you
See
so
you.
much, and
Have a
really
safe flight.
apologize for this.
Have a
Thank you.
safe flight.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, Vrinda.
So
Now
I'll
I come to
quickly
you.
add my experience. Okay. So, like I told you guys that I'm a Delhi University graduate, right? My mother graduated Delhi University 30 years, 24 years before me. Exact calculation. When I was supposed to pick up my electives, she could tell me which book to pick and she could tell me what am I supposed to study in these books and questions kaun se aayenge. Because the electives hadn't changed. And the only reason why my core was different was because she was an English honors student and I was a French honors student. That was the only difference. अदरवाइज हिंदी इंग्लिश के इलेक्टिव्स वही हैं, अभी भी बच्चे वही वुदरिंग हाइट्स पढ़ रहे हैं जो वो 30-35 साल पहले से पढ़ रहे थे, which makes no sense. So the problem is that these universities never evolved themselves. They said कि जो चल रहा है इसको चलने दो, जैसे चल रहा है चलने दो, ग्रेजुएट तो हो ही रहे हैं बच्चे, no big deal. Secondly, I'm going to disagree with Anju ma'am a little bit because at the end of the day, India is about where is the child going to land up. So there is no core placement cell at such universities, which are like your old school universities, because they feel हमने बच्चा graduate करा दिया, हमारा काम खत्म हो गया. उसके बाद क्या? What do you do after that, right? So those things they're not really counting on. Um, so when I speak to students about liberal education and about foundation courses to begin with, so number one, foundation courses are there in Ashoka as well. Of course, they are. I have 9 foundation courses which are mandatory for everybody. Now, how do they add to your overall development and for the future, right? So there is a student who's coming from the sciences and has to study environmental studies or has to study things like Indian civilization. Now, in everybody's head, Indian civilization is all about history. It's not. It's about the civilization, right? How did we actually come into existence? People like Rudranshu Mukherjee, who's my chancellor, is actually taking such courses. In fact, your foundation courses are always taught by the senior most faculty of the university. It's a thing. Because number one, these kids are unlearning and relearning in this step. Because, like I said, they're all coming from mostly CBSE or state board schools, right? So they're used to rote learning. We're telling them that's not really required, dude. So this is where they unlearn and they relearn. Initially, they will feel like these are like regular courses that they've already done in 12th, and we're sort of taking them through those again for 1 year. But if you start looking at the perspective building, that's very different. Because in that very classroom, there'll be a student who wants to do sciences and is still studying Indian civilization. Or in a principles of sciences class, there's a student who came in for economics and finance and is still is studying principles of sciences. When I say that there are interdisciplinary subjects out there, this is how they recognize it. They understand the interdisciplinarity at this step because all professors in such universities, especially, I mean, I can talk about Ashoka, they're all PhDs themselves. They've done a lot of interdisciplinary research. They've done work in those spaces where people don't even think of going, right? And which is why they're some of the best in the industry. So, how does it matter to the child? It sort of gives them the overall bridge to get to to fill that gap of what can I do and this is what I really want to do. So that's how foundation courses are very, very helpful.
Okay, okay. And many a times parents come up with the question that, ma'am, with the advent of technology, there are so many technological changes are happening, and with AI, generative AI and all that, they feel that, their child must do some computer science or some AI related course to be successful, in the future.
Right.
So sometimes they don't understand that why liberal arts is important in a tech driven world. So how would you like to address this concern? Are there any extra skills which a child learns which can be used in the tech driven world? Like, what is it? Why should I study as a student? Why should I study liberal arts when the world is going towards technology?
Ma'am, tech is part of liberal education. I mean, the thing is that people completely forget that. That's what I'm trying to tell everybody since the beginning, that guys, when I say liberal arts and sciences, um, today a student studying a BSc in computer science is also getting placed in, in companies like Google India as software developers. And tech is also part and parcel of this entire structure, because इनका research इतना strong है that the research has to happen through the world of tech. Number one. Secondly, AI is something that you need to understand that, okay, AI cannot create, it can repeat. Artificial intelligence can only repeat, right? So somebody has to come up with the innovations. That innovation can only and only come with what ma'am just mentioned, Anju ma'am, before leaving, that empathy, social awareness, critical thinking, logical reasoning, इन्हीं से बन सकता है. Because you just have to tell artificial intelligence what to do. It is artificial intelligence. It is not human intelligence at the end of the day, right? It cannot create, it can repeat. So, any which ways, you are enabling students to work in this tech related world. And at the end of the day, when push comes to shove, everybody learns tech their own way. Because when COVID started, so many educators had to re educate themselves, didn't they? But
Mhm.
right now, this is actually part of the curriculum in such universities, because we are enabling them for tech any which way.
And this reminds me of a case, just for everybody's benefit. I hope everybody knows what Nissan is all about. They it is an automobile industry. So they came up with driverless cars, and I'm very fond of giving this example. Vrinda must have heard me n number of times. So they came up with this driverless cars, and they said that but it was not. They couldn't sell it everywhere. So they just appointed anthropologists and sociologists to understand, that what could be the reason. So they conducted surveys all across the globe, and they found that the cultural factors, the psychological factors played a major role rather than economic factors in determining the sale of the driverless cars in various countries. For example, let's take example of India. Now, India is such a populated country, and of course, we also know that traffic is not very well managed here because of n number of reasons. So, take a simplest example: how do we cross roads? As far as I'm concerned, I cross road looking left, right, and this is how we were taught. And if nothing is coming, then you just cross the road. But when Meenu ma'am is getting late, right, left, oh my God, the car is still very far off. I can run and cross the road. So I will just make the sign, Bhaiya, ruko, 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 and I will run and I will cross the road. Now just imagine if it is a driverless car in India. I would have been killed long time back because driverless car might not be able to see the human being, that anybody can just run all of a sudden. This is a cultural factor. So and there are n number of examples where we can see that how technology cannot work without liberal arts, without social sciences, without humanities. The very fact Facebook, Insta, all these social media is working so well because there is a lot of psychology involved. People, when Zuckerberg started Facebook, why he started Facebook? Because he combined psychology and computer science, and he tried to understand that what is the most prominent need of humans, that is the need to relate. And so he found a platform where people could connect. And then he realized that, oh, people would like to see each other also, like Vrinda and I love to see all of you, but you're still, we can see only names. We cannot see your faces. So, then he introduced, pictures also in the Facebook and all that. So, no gaming can be developed without understanding of psychology. Ethics is so important, when we talk about job security and all. So that, your talk, Vrinda, just, induced that thinking inside me, and I started thinking in all directions. Tell me one more thing, Vrinda, and I think that can be, then I would like to ask the audience if they have any questions, please write it down in the chat box. Otherwise, I will keep on asking questions to Vrinda. I would like to give you also a chance. You can always
Guys, we can talk. We actually love talking to each other. So we can do this for hours. Okay,
So,
sorry.
so Vrinda, although as you only said that as far as India is concerned, people are still concerned about, where will I land after,
Yeah.
doing liberal arts. So can you share some examples, or maybe, what kind of careers I can go for after completing my liberal arts? So as I understand, and please clarify this also, when students do liberal arts education at their undergrad level, so what kind of degree do they get? They get
Okay.
BA in liberal arts or what?
All right. Okay. So, ma'am, I think the reason why India is so concerned about where am I going to land up is because parents always want the best for their kids, right? So they're looking for security for the child. So even if the child wants to become a musician tomorrow, they're like, नहीं, पहले एक degree लो, उसके बाद जो करना है करो. Not everybody is a very trusting parent like Prakash Padukone, who said, "नहीं नहीं कोई बात नहीं, don't complete your degree and you can become an actress if you want." Not everybody's gonna do that because I mean it's fair and it's very very fair, honestly. So after a liberal education structure, you get the degree of the subject that you specialized in. Number one, right? So like Anju ma'am was talking about the T-shaped model. Let me just give you an understanding of the T-shaped model, right? Wherein your foundation courses, the 9 foundation courses that I'm talking about, they're the horizontal line. And that one discipline that you go in depth of, that becomes your vertical line, right? So, for example, I've gone through all foundation courses and I finally decide that psychology is going to be my major, right? So, my degree at Ashoka will become a BSc in psychology, BSc honors after psychology, with psychology. And
Okay.
with the national education policy coming in, it'll become plus research. So the degree will say BSc honors psychology plus research. That similarly, if I go in for something like history, it'll become BA honors history plus research. That's going to be the degree's name, BA honors and BSc honors. Now it has different variations with different universities. So whichever university that you're applying to, you can actually sort of take an understanding of that. So for example, a university like Plaksha might give you a BTech. It's a BTech degree. But at the end of the day, that's also a liberal education structure. So for Ashoka, it's BA honors and BSc honors. For other universities, it will differ from university to university, but it will not be called a degree in liberal arts. It will be called a degree in your own subject, in your own discipline. Now, in terms of careers and stats, if I have to give you, honestly, so Ashoka is a liberal education university. We're only 10 years old, and we've been so fortunate that we've had 100% placement record of our last 6 batches going out. People say that you become jack of all trades and master of none. My kids became master of almost everything, and now they've been placed. That's the thing. Because there are 3 ways out of Ashoka, and it's generally with other universities as well, but I'm just going to give you an example of Ashoka. You either apply for your campus placement, or you start your masters, or you start your own startup, right? And we've actually seen success in all 3 options. Now, if I have to tell you, somewhere approximately 65 to 70% of my students did for campus placements, and we've had 100% placement record, which means over 350 companies came into Ashoka, hired students, and went back. In fact, I have a lot of repeat hirers at Ashoka as well. Some of my few very initial students were from the political science background and history honors backgrounds, right? They've been placed in companies like McKinsey and Deloitte. I have kids who are coming from an English and media studies background, getting placed at companies like Hindustan Unilever, which is only hiring from B schools, but is now hiring from Ashoka as well. I have students going, like, for example, like I told you already, there are students coming from a BSc computer science background with an entrepreneurship, an interdisciplinary major in CS and entrepreneurship. They've landed into companies like Google and Microsoft as software developers or software engineers. BTech की degree नहीं है मेरे पास, but I can give them the skills that they require, right? So it is a myth when people say that नहीं after liberal education थोड़ी नौकरियां लगती है. Please, I've had some really good companies hiring my kids over the years. And the best part is that how does liberal education work in the world of jobs? You can study whatever you'd like to study, and you can still get placed in the company that you'd want to study, that you'd want to get into.
So
Because
that means when you're saying one of the major objective of liberal arts is that it will also equip you with transferable skills along with the knowledge,
of
yeah?
course, things like critical thinking, logical reasoning, things like adaptability, things like understanding and empathy. This will not come with a regular structure where they're telling you rote learn and produce answers and you're done. It'll come from a structure which will tell you that, dude, this is a reading material, go back home, study it, create your own opinions, create your own point of view, come back to a classroom and discuss. In a classroom where there are students sitting from psychology and physics together, psychology and maths together, psychology and computer science together, and this is a psychology major, right? So in a classroom of not more than 20 students, you're actually sitting down and understanding concepts from multiple perspectives. And suddenly you start seeing things from different point of views. It's not a pigeonhole view, right? So these skills come along with the structure that you're in.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Vrinda. We have two questions here. One question is by Anil Sukhija. He's asking that my question is how easily students are able to change their mindset when they get enrolled to liberal arts study. Secondly, is there any dropout also? And if yes, then what's the ratio?
Sir, I have not seen a dropout, honestly. मैंने नहीं देखा है. I have never seen a child getting into the liberal education system and saying मुझसे नहीं हो रहा है मैं जा रहा हूँ मैं next year फिर किसी और university के लिए try कर दूंगा. I have not seen that dropout. That's one. Secondly, it is very easy for these students to change their mindset. I have students coming from PCMB going for history and IR later. I have kids coming from commerce with maths, and rather than taking economics and finance, they're taking economics and psychology together. I have students coming from humanities and saying we want to go back to biochemistry. वो छोड़ दिया था हमने क्योंकि हमें physics नहीं पढ़ना था. So they can change their minds like this. So we also give them space to the third semester. You change your mind as much as you want. At the end of the third semester, kindly declare your major and your minor. That'll be easier for you and for us. That's it.
So what is the option? Like, is liberal arts a good option for a commerce student? This question is related to Ela. Ela has asked this question.
Yeah, of course it is. So, like I said, ma'am, we just call it liberal arts and sciences. But अगर आप इसको ध्यान से देखो तो Ashoka does, Ashoka and other universities, we have courses in business, we have courses in economics, we have courses which are not your regular BCom and BBAs, which I will stand for. But at the end of the day, they're giving you the same skills that any other student would get. Like a psychology with entrepreneurship will land you up with HR and marketing together.
So what kind of courses Ashoka has for commerce students?
We have international relations, we have economics in multiple variations. For example, economics finance, economics and public policy. You've got economics and history. You've got politics, philosophy, and economics. You've got psychology with entrepreneurship and so on and so forth. So yeah.
And what is the duration of the course? That is another question which has been asked.
Sure, ma'am. So it's a 4-year course. Almost every liberal education university is a 4-year course, because after the NEP, any which ways, everybody was supposed to be a 4-year structure. But we've been very fortunate, all of us in the liberal education structure, because we were always a 4-year course.
So do you also, sorry.
Go ahead.
No, do you also have exit point after third year?
Yes. So so that's what I was getting on to. So we've always had a 4-year structure. जिसमें पहले 4th year was optional. Now it's part of the structure because it gives you more specialization because your credits go up. They're higher after the 4th year rather than the 3rd year. And any which ways, although you have an option of leaving after the 3rd year, if you do the 4th year, you're actually eligible. You're more how do I say this? The US structure sort of supports it, because US is a 16-year structure, then we become a 16-year structure for them, right? And the child doesn't have to waste another year in the middle doing multiple internships and then defining those internships when they're applying for a master's in the US. That's the only thing.
And can a student have 2 to 3 majors?
They can have one major, so they could have two majors pehle, but after the NEP coming into action, there are a few changes that have come into the structure as well. So they can have one major and approximately two minors, concentrations, whatever they would want to do. Concentration is a little lower credits than minors, but they also get added into your transcript. However, if you're doing an interdisciplinary major at Ashoka, there are anyways two majors together, right? So, for
Okay.
example, you're taking economics and finance, so you're a major in eco and finance. Or you're doing computer science with mathematics, you're a major in computer science and mathematics, you're not the minor of your choice. Like Anju ma'am mentioned before she left, that this is all about knowledge building. It has nothing to do with just one major, one minor, one concentration. कितने subjects transcript में add हो रहे हैं. I had a student who did physics and philosophy together,
Hmm.
and did a few courses in history here and there just because he wanted to. I still don't understand why to this day, but I just know that physics and philosophy was his passion and history just came into existence.
Okay. And if a student is doing two majors, as you're saying, interdisciplinary approach or otherwise,
That's
then
fine.
another question related to that is what decides the title of degrees like BSc or BA?
So it depends on the course that they're doing. So, for example, if they do a basic economics course, I'm sorry, just an economics course, when they want to major in just economics, it becomes a BA honors. But if the scientific bent of that subject sort of changes, it becomes a BSc honors when you're doing economics and finance, right? Because that's the scientific bent of mind. Similarly, psychology is generally set to be for students coming from all disciplines, but we call it a BSc in psychology. बहुत मेहनत से we've converted it into a BSc in psychology, to be honest, because it has a scientific bent of mind. So it was unfair to the students to get a BA honors, but luckily at Ashoka, anybody from any discipline can do psychology, you be it a commerce student or a humanities student or a science student, because although it's a BSc degree, you're still eligible for it. Now that's the beauty of liberal education. You can come from whatever background and sort of shift gears and go into whatever direction you'd like.
Great, great.
Thank you.
Audience, any other question?
You can unmute yourself, guys.
Yeah, please
We'd love to hear you.
unmute and ask.
We are counselors at the end of the day, people. What about BE title? Bachelor's in Economics, I believe. Nahi. Engineering. Okay. So universities like Ashoka, we only offer B honors and BSc honors. We do not give out professional degrees. So a bachelor's in engineering is something that you cannot get at Ashoka. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yes, participants, any questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Anju.
Ina.
So, like somebody who is majoring in physics, the degree offered would be BSc Physics.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that was my question.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Ilama. I say you don't remember me. We've met.
Really?
We have. I'll tell you about it later. Don't worry. Right now, you're dealing with other people from my university because I don't generally come to that side of the city.
No, actually, my camera is not working. Else, would have been easier that I'm the same Ila.
That's okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
my
you for your question, by the way.
So another question, other universities, liberal
BTech.
arts subjects, do they give BE? No, no liberal arts university will give you BE or BTech degree. Only Plaksha, which we consider as liberal arts and sciences. So, they give BTech degree, but otherwise it is only BA, BSc.
Right now, India mostly has only BA, BSc. In some cases, I think BBA bhi hai in one or two universities, but not exactly that. But BTech Plaksha deta hai. It's a liberal education plus engineering.
Any last thoughts, Vrinda? And then I will conclude the session.
I think, guys, there is no better time than today to understand about structure like this, to be honest, because I think most of you are going to be telling students about it. Just understand yourselves that whatever we didn't have, we're trying to give it to the students now. It's as simple as that. We're just trying to engage them in a structure where they will benefit more than they will just read, than more than they will read. So yeah. Oh,
Okay,
ma'am,
somebody
I have a
has it.
there is a question by Arun Abani.
Okay, would you like to address that?
I think it is about interest in pursuing liberal arts alongside with BTech studies. Since my college offers only BTech courses, I can tell you that Ashoka has transfer cases wherein you can come in for a BSc with computer science at Ashoka. I can't give you a BTech degree, but you can come back and do a BSc in computer science with us with any other subject of your choice. That's up to you. But I don't know if Plaksha has a transfer student case right now or not. I think you can reach out to Meenu ma'am and Meenu ma'am can reach out to the others and they can help you out.
Okay, I think that brings us to the end of the session. We are already across 10 more minutes. Thank you so much, Vrinda. And before we say bye, I would just like to conclude everything. I hope the concept of liberal arts is a little clear to all of us. So it is, many times people think that students who are not able to decide, who are a little confused, let them, take up liberal arts because they can declare their major minor later. So that is a kind of misconception. I say that that is not true because it is not only for undecided students. It is for everyone. That is, liberal arts is the need of the hour, and we say liberal arts, but liberal education, liberal arts and sciences. These are very common, interchangeably used words. And even if we say liberal arts, it includes sciences as well. Secondly, many times students feel that, oh, liberal arts is very easy. Maybe you don't need to study at all. So that is again a myth. The third myth, which is very, very prevalent, and I think somebody had asked this question also, which I missed, that what about CBSE people? Because liberal arts, if they tell you to write a lot, then, how a CBSE student will manage, So as Vrinda had already touched upon that they give them bridge courses, and they also build on those skills. They equip the students with those skills. So that is what higher education institutes are all about, because they are the ones who are going to bridge the gap between the school and the industry, and the university is in the middle. And now, if I club it in one line, then liberal arts is, like Vrinda introduced, the T-shaped, broad-based education with in-depth knowledge about one subject, along with the transferable skills. And it is an approach, not a degree. And when we talk about the transferable skills, we can always remember maybe 6 C's. When you Google, you will get 4 C's, but I have got 6. So the first C starts with curiosity, critical thinking, creativity, communication skills, collaborative skills. And the last C is connecting dots from various disciplines, because it's all about interdisciplinary approach, because the world is like that. The world is all interconnected. And so interdisciplinary approach, like Ashoka and Flame and other liberal arts universities offer, I think that is the answer to solve the complex problems of the future. With this, thank you so much. Do attend next Saturday also, because we are going to talk about the admission process and the scholarships, which is offered in the liberal arts university, specific focus on Ashoka and Flame. So see you next Saturday. Thank you so much, Vrinda, for joining us today. And thanks to each one of you. Please come up with a lot of questions, because Vrinda and Anju have a lot of information and knowledge. So let's take each and every bite of that information. And thank you so much. Take care.